We're live in the motherfucking house. Test, test.
Test. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Jeez. All right. Okay. Hold on. Let me balance the sound first. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So now I'm recording with the iPad. So I have my iPad rolling. Yeah.
Perfect. This is gonna work, man. It's gonna fucking work.
Gotcha. Look at us. Just two fucking nerds in the morning.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna make this work.
Yeah. I mean, all right. There's a slight delay, but I think it's okay.
It'll be fine. Okay, so good morning, Mr. Chijanto.
Good morning, Rob.
How are you?
Right now, I'm just having a good time with Rob Jabaz, you know? No homo. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Don't say that, dude.
Totally homo. 100%
totally
homo.
homo. All right. I'm kidding.
Yeah, we have to watch ourselves because we can't talk like a couple of high school students here.
Yeah. Of course.
People don't even say no homo anymore. Now they say no diddy.
No Diddy. Okay. No Diddy.
Yeah.
No Diddy with Rob Jabaz. Unless
Right.
it's a situation where we are stuck in an island.
Speaking of stuck on an island, I actually heard a pretty funny joke today. Do you want to hear it?
Today, like you just
It was-
woke up, dude. Who did you hear it from?
I get an early start. I get a jump on the day. I was watching Instagram and I saw Rue McClanahan from the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
The-
Rest her soul.
Right. There's two ladies with like white hair, and then there's the one with like the
black
brown
hair.
hair or
Yeah,
whatever, blonde hair. So she's telling a joke to Betty White. So I'm just going to repeat the joke that she said. So okay, and it relates to a desert island. So thank you for
I'll appreciate it. Yeah.
bringing that up. Yeah. So okay, so there's this guy, and he gets shipwrecked on a desert island with a dog and a pig, and there's nobody around. It's just this dog and this pig, and he's on this desert island, and he after a couple months, this pig is starting to look pretty fucking nice, and so he starts to kind of like caress the pig, and sort of tweak its little nipples on its fucking underside, and so the man is doing this in front of the dog, and he's trying to just sort of woo this pig and make this pig get kind of sweet on him, and the dog does not like this. Like the more that he starts to get closer to this pig, the dog's like and starts growling at him, right?
Okay.
So he's like whoa, and he chills out and he stops. So then like another month goes by, and he's like, fuck, god damn it, that pig is looking good. And he starts doing the same thing, and he's tickling its chin. When he's sleeping, he's kind of like getting up close to it and kind of spooning it and stuff. And then again, the dog, wakes up and sees him, and the dog's again like rah, 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 barking at him and like stopping him from fucking this pig. So then the next day, there's another shipwreck, and on this shipwreck, off the boat that crashes on the island, comes this beautiful blonde girl, right? Like just world-class woman, like just the hottest girl you ever seen in your life, and she crashes on the beach.
Okay.
And she's looking beautiful, like glistening in the sun, and the man like immediately just runs over to her, and he's like, thank God you're here. I need you to hold back this dog.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of setup for that fucking punchline, dude.
Rue McClanahan told it like so much better, but I haven't practiced. Usually it takes me a little while to practice a joke before I can get it into a concise way. But hey, listen, man, we're killing time here. Like that takes up a lot of valuable podcast time.
Dude, like, and I love that story just because if I think about it, Rue McClanahan telling that kind of story, and there's nothing more pleasant than an elderly lady telling a suggestively dirty story of bestiality,
Oh, absolutely.
I'm always up for it. And
you told me that a couple days or like last week you saw Marathon Man for the first time.
No. I already saw. No, a couple of weeks ago I said like I am a late bloomer when it comes to what's his name, John Jeez, man, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Like
Schlesinger,
yeah. So and I always love those, I guess like mid to late 70s Cold War thriller, like the genre.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I've seen Marathon Man a while ago, like maybe like 7 years ago, but like the idea that I first saw it like as I'm already a full grown adult, and then you just totally see it, and then you just realize just how cold and creepy films in the 70s can be. You know, like there are some moments there. It really feels ominous and all that shit. And I really appreciate it, dude. Like I think when you see a scene where what's his name? What's the name? Like the guy who played the Nazi dentist, like Lawrence Harvey. Not Lawrence Harvey. Like
Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, Laurence Olivier. The way he plays it, the way he just fucking torture fucking Dustin Hoffman in that dentist chair. And there's this particular line that he says, like we just, you know, like a lot of people quote it. What was the line, Rob?
Is it safe?
Is it safe? Yeah. Is it safe? Yeah. Is it safe? Dude, like you imagine that shit in the 70s when people see that for the first time, you know? It's dude, like nowadays nothing can sort of stun us in a pure cinematic way anymore, right? Because we've seen it all. But like imagine being that person sitting in the cinema, seeing that scene for the first time, just the way like some of those 7 people in the 1970s watched Exorcist for the first time. I was just like, God damn, like dude, like if this can blow me away 7 years ago, which was what, like 2016 or something, or 2017, imagine what it can do to people back then. And I think that's such a powerful moment of cinema, dude, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and back in those days, like back in like the 70s, I mean, you had people putting on nice clothes to go to the movies, you know? Like they'd actually get dressed up and it was like a night, it's like, let's go to a movie, honey. And that's kind of like the 50s voice, but whatever. Like the same thing, like in the 70s, like people, like going to the movies was actually like, you know, on the same level as like going to a play or something. Like, oh, we're going to go see a film. Like we're going to go see a motion picture. And you know, and they have those theaters where they have like the Wurlitzer organ in the lobby and everything.
Recently, I heard like Quentin Tarantino saying like the reason why was it Quentin or somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was Quentin. He said like the reason why people are not going to the cinema anymore because it has become so unaffordable to a lot of people. And if
that's definitely it, I think.
Yeah, you reckon? Like, I mean, like it is expensive, and I was thinking, like, hey, if you, like you said, like back then in the 60s or 70s, going to the cinema is such a luxurious event. Obviously, back then there is no Instagram, there is no fucking TikTok and whatnot. So you know, you are more focused in terms of like what you can consume in your entertainment, in your life's entertainment. But like, you know what I'm trying to say, dude. Like, I think things has changed indeed these days.
Well, another thing too is just like, I think things are. I mean, people used to fucking get dressed up to fly on an airplane. You know, people used to like put on nice like a suit and tie to take an airplane.
True.
So it's just kind of like what does that say? Like, is it just kind of like, you know, like just a lack of kind of respect just for like the kind of conveniences that we have, you know? Like these days people go on an airplane, they're just in flip-flops and their pajamas, you know? And I mean, back then, like, can you imagine taking like a flight from like, you know, Jakarta to Sydney, Australia, like wearing like a suit and tie? Like, Jesus Christ, like I'd just be fucking sweating my fucking balls off, you know? It would just be so uncomfortable.
Hey,
but anyways,
the Japanese still do that sometimes, man.
There's definitely still people who like to dress up, you know, like, you know, but I mean, on a flight, I mean, taking a flight is like, I hate flying, man.
Because you're a big dude, man. I
cannot stand it.
You're a big dude. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, let's get back to Marathon Man for a second.
Okay, all right. How do we get there?
Yeah.
But like,
so like,
okay, go ahead, man.
No, because we were talking about how, like, you know, like how the film would affect like an audience of 1976, and sort of like how something will affect you. Like if something can affect you in like 2016, like when you saw Marathon Man, and it can actually like make you just like actually have like a really visceral emotional response, you know, like people back in 1976 were probably, you know, having strokes and throwing up and shitting their pants and
definitely,
you know, eyeballs
and
were
wasn't that the
exploding.
Case? Wasn't that the case for The Exorcist? Like that's what happened, right? Like they were in shock. They're traumatized for the first time.
Yeah. People were fainting and stuff like that. But I mean, you get people saying that for like, you know, Terrifier 2 or whatever. And people said that for my movie as well. Like people were like, people are barfing in the theaters or whatever, you know. But I mean, between you and me, it was mostly just people walking out.
Don't say that, dude.
I'm trying to. You kind of got me thinking about like parts of movies, like recent movies, where I actually had like a visceral reaction. Where, you know, I remember like I think maybe that's why I like Challengers. Like when I saw Challengers, I mean I didn't fucking barf or shit my pants or anything, but like I definitely was having like a extremely strong sort of period of engagement with the film. Like I was really engaged with it in a way that I don't usually get engaged. And also like I'll even say that in terms of an instance, like the part in Barbarian where like the lead, I forget her name, the lead actress is
she's
going
great.
through that tunnel.
She's great. She's fucking great, man. Jeez.
And then she and then it, you know, it's like you know, like a crazy sort of chaotic scene where like it's dark lighting and everything, and all of a sudden it cuts and it's just Justin Long
yeah.
on the Pacific Highway, and like and it's just like this insane sort of juxtaposition, like cut. And I remember like I didn't see Barbarian in the theater first. I saw it in my living room first, and I remember like when that happened, I stood up in my chair. I was like, "Wah!" And the only other time that I remember doing that was in the Safdie brothers' Good Time, when we find out that, spoiler, when we find out that the guy that he's brought back from the hospital isn't his brother, the guy with bandages on his head. Like, it's like, that's not his brother. Like, I remember that's what I do. I like, whenever something really affects me, I stand up. Like I'm sitting in my chair and I'll stand up in front of the TV and I'll be like, what? Like, and it's entirely involuntary, you know? But I mean,
yeah, you get excited. It taps to a part of you where, you know, like, and this part is rarely triggered anymore, right? Like we become jaded, and so when this thing happened for us, like we cherish it. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, I'm probably not as much as a intense cinema goer as you are. Especially of lately, I've just been slacking off majorly. Like the last film that I saw was was it Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. I like it. I really like it very much. You know, like I've never have any qualms when it comes to the apes films. I always have a soft spot for them. But like talking about that kind of reaction, honestly, as far as I can remember, the only film that made me react like that. Okay, I can remember two films. Three films actually. Definitely, I saw that film, Joyland. I keep mentioning this film, and I freaking love this film so much. I bought it on a Blu-ray. I bought it in iTunes. That's how much I love it. Joyland. It gave me that reaction, not in a sort of like what do you call it? Like, you know, like spiking up your adrenaline and all that stuff. But like, it's such a humane film to the point where I was truly moved. You know. Right. And I watched it in a film festival, so it was like a pretty big screen. And you know, like, if you watch Joyland, actually, it's cool because they shot it in 3:4, the ratio. Right. So it automatically becomes such a different experience. But like the last film that I felt like gave me that adrenaline rush, like when I nearly get up from the freaking cinema seats, it was fucking Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity, dude. Believe it or not.
Oh, right.
I don't know, like...
No, dude, that's a good... People shit on that movie. I think that's a great movie.
Dude, exactly. I don't know, these snob motherfuckers like keep on shitting on that film, and I was thinking...
It's sort of a weird thing. It's sort of like this mass, like... It's not quite mass hysteria, but akin to mass hysteria, where like all of a sudden everybody wants to like pretend like they're an astrophysicist. They're like, oh, by the way, I'm fucking Niels deGrasse Tyson, and it's impossible that somebody could, use a fucking fire extinguisher to affect their trajectory. You know, it's just like, dude, you have no fucking clue. And by the way, you didn't fucking say anything when Matt Damon was doing that in The Martian. You know, like,
exactly.
It's just sort of like a weird kind of like phenomenon that happens where all of a sudden everyone wants to fucking act like they actually have a single fucking clue
the physics, the physics
Newtonian physics.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. Like I didn't care about any of that when I was watching it in the cinema. Like it doesn't even occur to me. Like for me, that's all right. As somebody who's a complete idiot when it comes to aeronautical and space fucking exploration, that was as realistic as it gets for me. And
yeah,
I'm not even being emotional for all that stuff. Like I was like, dude, like I remember at the time. There's a specific part when what's her name? Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock was like singing along, or like she was listening to that Inuit dude on Earth, like singing a lullaby to her, right? In this,
right.
what was it, like the radio, like that Inuit guy have a ham radio or something,
right?
And that scene followed by her plight to sort of really like, okay, this is my one chance to sort of save myself. And I usually hate a film about somebody who's trying to save him or herself.
Why?
I don't know, just because like I think like if I'm one of those person in that film, I'll be the one who says like, okay, you know what? Let's get this done and over with. Like I don't have that much of a fighting spirit in me, you know.
I don't know about that. I think you put Timo Chajanto into a life or death situation. You're gonna see the wolf come alive.
Maybe who knows? But like definitely, I'm usually pretty melancholic when it comes to that element. So when I see her like really trying everything, and then she just jump onto from her friggin' spaceship into the Chinese hub and all that stuff, I was like, God damn, this is. And the scoring, dude, like for that film is a perfect score. Like I don't think people talk enough about like the scoring in that film, because it's like an 11 out of 10, man.
People don't talk about scores in general, like unless they're kind of not like working, you know, like or they're like, for example, the only kind of score that I think that like general audiences actually like really make note of. In a relatively recent movie is like the Insidious score, you know, like that, like that, those strings or whatever,
or like,
and then like
Challengers, you know, like people talk about that score because it has become like this sort of Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross sort of like some of the composers who are allowed themselves to be upfront, you know what I'm saying? They're like stars. And they're great fucking composers.
People will also respond to in terms of score is like Hans Zimmer, like, oh man, the Inception fucking trailer, bong, you know, like they'll say that's like a common thing to say. So it's like the Hans Zimmer bong, and then like the Atticus Ross, Trent Reznor stuff. I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who could actually like, you know, hum a tune from any of those movies, but they definitely, when they see those names in the opening title card credits, they'll probably like a lot of people will know who they are, and they'll be kind of like, oh, cool, I like them. I like their soundtrack for the The Social Network or whatever.
Yep.
You saw Challengers, right?
Not yet, dude. Not yet. The reason why I'm holding off is because like I know like the version that we have in the cinema over here is censored.
No, what, really?
Yeah, because like people say like there are some balls and genitals or something like that. Like so there are some censored stuff.
Yeah, but it's in the context of a locker room. Like it's not sexual at all. It's like it's just guys
but like
in a locker room.
I don't think our unfortunately Indonesians rating system are ready for like casual tits and balls in the locker room sort of context. You know.
Just dicks and balls. There's no tits in the movie. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's Indonesia, Muslim country. You know, you put too many dicks and balls in there, people are going to be like, brother,
yeah, exactly,
brother.
People are going to be talking, dude. But I'll as soon as it gets to iTunes, I'm definitely gonna watch it. You know, I'm not in a rush to.
The only reason why I mention it, like in the context of talking about scores, is because not only is the score because it's sort of like a really raw sounding acid techno a lot of the time.
Yep.
Like very
and
like
people
go on.
Like And I was gonna say, I can definitely tell that because like everybody know that I know, or everybody who's either a young millennials or like a Gen Z, like be putting their reels and it's cut in a montage with that particular challenger's
Right.
sort of like soundtrack score.
Well, what you'll also notice is what are you fucking around with? Are you slamming down?
Sorry. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm playing with my. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, no, I'm just saying, like that's gonna pick up on the audio. You're gonna make me have to go in there.
All
and,
right.
like,
Don't be upset. Don't worry.
what the hell am I talking about? So
The score.
right in challengers. So in challengers, another thing that you'll notice is not just the score itself, but also where it's placed. Like how I'm not even gonna this is actually in terms of like saying this to a filmmaker. I wouldn't spoil this for you because you'll be kind of like oh shit, I can't believe that's the score that they're going to use for this scene, like the way that it's used is very innovative. Like I don't think I've ever seen something done quite that way before, just in terms of like what music you're using with what scene and
scene you are is playing. Yep. So there's a contradiction, so to speak, right?
It feels almost like a breaking of a rule. Like once in a while you'll get suggested like a video that's like the 5 rules that you shouldn't break in filmmaking, made by a guy who's never made a film before, and it's like and then they're saying all this shit about like you shouldn't have like if you're trying to create like a moment of tension, you shouldn't intercut that with a moment of comedy, because then you're destroying all the tension. And it's like, yeah, okay, in theory that works, but I mean, I can think of a couple examples where it works perfectly.
Yep.
Like Picasso, like painted realistically, like he had the blue period and everything, where he's painting things like perfectly, quote unquote.
Yep.
And he has to be able to do that.
The blue, by the time, sorry, just to correct you, just because I'm a bit anal about this sort of stuff. The blue period, he's already deconstructing himself, bro.
Right.
So Picasso even goes beyond that. Like he was already painting perfectly with perfect realism by the time he's in his mid-teens. So like when he was like 15, 16 years old, he already have a painting which feels kind of like realistic expression, like a expression and realistic expressionistic, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then once he got to the blue period and all that stuff, like he's already deconstructing. That's how much of a genius he is. Yeah.
Well, there is I mean, you look at blue period pieces and they're not like one-to-one reproductions. Like there is some liberty taking, but I mean, I guess the point that I'm just trying to make is that the Cubist period is where you can't get to the Cubist period like off the jump. Like you have to go through the period of painting
exactly
representational, and then I guess like I did make a mistake because the blue period actually is like a transitional period, and then he gets to Cubism, and and it's the same thing with film. You have to understand. You have to thoroughly understand the rules before you can break them. And the film that I always think of in terms of like intercutting a scene with comedy, intercutting an intense scene with comedy, and it's still working is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a film that we've talked about before. At the very end, when Christopher Lloyd is like has revealed himself as being like that weird demonic cartoon character, and then he's got a fencing foil. And he's going after Bob Hoskins, and then Bob Hoskins like sees a box and it says the singing sword. So he's like, oh, he's got a sword. I'm gonna get a sword too. And he grabs the sword, and the sword starts singing Frank Sinatra, and it's just sort of this moment of totally. Because here's the thing: is like that part in that movie is fucking terrifying. Like it's like when he rises up after being steamrolled by the fucking. The steamroller, and it's like he's a tune. He's like not just any tune, and he rises up, and it's actually terrifying. Even as an adult, like I find that to be like
man, I gotta watch it again. All right, okay, but like the way you describe it, make it sounds like it is terrifying. Yeah. Okay, but like I do remember he died in a pretty terrifying way, right? Like I think he spoiler, Christopher Lloyd's character was eventually eaten by all that acid sort of like solution, right?
Yeah.
Like Acme drums.
Dip.
tea.
They call it the dip.
The dip. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But,
they even kill like a shoe, right? Like they kill like a shoe, right? Like I think they
Right.
Yeah, that was horrible. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, that,
So,
as a kid,
Okay.
you're just kind of like, I mean, it actually is very smart of them to do it with a shoe, because like a shoe, because it's still alive and you still are sympathetic towards it. But if they did that with to like a cartoon rabbit, like little kids would not be, like parents and little kids would not be down with it. But the shoe, like that's making that decision is such a brilliant decision, because it's like it does everything it needs to do, but it doesn't go too far. Like it's the perfect.
It doesn't go too far, but like
yet
they still manage. And I'm just wondering at the time, what is the notes from the studio at the time? Because like the shoe is still sentient, and you can still see the expression through its eyes, because the shoe has the shoe has eyes, right? And like it's a raggedy shoe, so it has like that kind of mouth effect with the open sole and everything, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, like that's fucking. If you now that we go into the nitty gritty detail of it, it's an amazing piece of decision making, you know?
Yeah, like forget about the technical achievements, just like the writing and like just the filmmaking in general, and also, and I mean, just to sort of like clarify why I've thought about this a lot, but just to clarify why it's so scary at the end is that you're introduced to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like, and sort of the idea, the concept of like, oh, okay, cartoons live with people in this world, I guess, right? And it's like, like you can't kill them. They're invincible, and they can get like pianos dropped on them, and they just like flatten out and they come back again, but you know they can interact with humans, and they're, you know, and if one is big, then it can be very strong. Like there's a part where like a hippopotamus like sits on a bench, and the bench breaks, and then there's a human, and the human just goes like up in the air. So it's showing that, like, you know, they're not malicious mostly, but they can cause damage if they want to. So basically it's just like, you know, if you think about that kind of seriously, it's like you're living side by side with these like incredibly powerful life forms that you can't kill. There's no way to kill them. And if one of them were to become malicious and become like a serial killer or whatever, that would just be a fucking nightmare. And guess what? At the very end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that's what you get. You get an evil toon, you know? And one that's willing to kill people. And guess what? You can't fucking kill him. And guess what? He's basically like a fucking superhero. It's like that movie, the Brightburn, with like the evil Superman.
Brightburn, yeah.
Yeah. So like just that if you internalize the concept and you actually think about it, it's really a fucking terrifying proposition. But anyways, that's a little fucking Roger Rabbit deep dive.
No, yeah. I understand, and if I'm not mistaken, look, like it all comes back to me now. Like I'm pretty sure, like there's some gorilla type goons, right? In the film. I could be wrong, but like I felt there was a gorilla type goons who's fighting like Bob Hoskins. And you know what? Now that you say all that stuff, I was just thinking about the other human / animation film, Cool World. You remember that?
Right, with the Ralph Bakshi movie. With
Ralph Bakshi movie with Brad Pitt.
Gabriel Byrne,
and Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Kim Basinger as Hollywood.
Exactly, and I always felt that film was also sort of underrated, because like it's you know, I always love a film like that, which is, I would say, are very interesting and very ambitious, sometimes dubbed as a failure, but they are ambitious nevertheless, you know.
Yeah.
And if you watch Cool World again now, like you understand that it's 100% did its job in establishing a specific vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Which, in turn brings me to this other film that I really love, that I feel people didn't appreciate enough. But I think if people watch it nowadays, they'll probably love it. I can't remember. But like, you know, the guy who did Waltz with Bashir, right?
Yeah.
Geez, what's the title, man? Like it stars Robin Wright Penn. It's The Congress. The Congress. Have you seen this film?
I've seen Waltz with Bashir, but I haven't seen The Congress.
Oh man, you should watch it. You should watch it.
All right.
You should
you should
watch.
It's an animated film or no?
It starts as a live film, like a live action film, and then it goes into an animated world. As an actor, if you stop working, like how will they use your image, like your likeness and all that stuff? So it has that kind of shades of AI and copyright and like using your image as a infinite talent, you know. But you will anyway watch it. The Congress, all right.
Okay, hold on. Because we're jumping around so much, I want to get those other two films that you said. Like you said, okay, so there's three films that have that elicited an intense emotional reaction from you. One of them was Joyland.
Yep.
Oh, and then you said Gravity, and then the third one.
Gravity, yeah. I think the third one. Look, I think there are more, but like I definitely forgot about it. And then maybe like this one. Look, it's been a while, but like I do remember being very overly emotional in that Toy Story 3 film.
Right.
To the point where it just becomes overwhelming. And at the time, I remember I was watching it with my daughter, and I have to hide the fact that I was like literally bawling, dude. and dude, like I was like sobbing like crazy. I was like.
That's so funny. That's just so funny. Like I'm not laughing that you're crying. I'm laughing that you're trying to hide it from your daughter.
Oh man, like that's the last thing you want them to see, you know.
Yeah, I guess I remember one time seeing my dad cry like out of sadness, and I remember it like disturbing me like in a deep way. Like even thinking about it is like it gives me like cold chills.
It is weird, right? It is weird. It is weird because like look, like I look up to my dad as one of this toughest guy. You know, like he got life sorted out. So when I see him kind of being emotional, it just fucks with my perception of what he is, you know. And you know, like it's actually a healthy thing because like it just shows that they are human.
Sure.
But like I think in case of Toy Story 3, I already know like Pixar movies, they have that certain sort of emotional, for the lack of better word, ability to manipulate your emotional state. But like I think
absolutely.
Yeah, but I think especially that part like in Toy Story 3 when they all like went to the incinerator and they just decided to die together. Even now talking about it, like I feel my nose is like flaring up. That's how much of an effect it has on me. You know, it's weird, man. It's just chemicals, man. But like I was so moved, and I remember watching that part because like they were holding hands, right? Like they were all holding hands as they're kind of going down to that you know, like that center of the fire. And I remember just like grabbing so hard to the chairs, to the cinema chairs, like I was like literally like squeezing it because like I was like,
so
Jesus,
funny,
this
dude.
is too much, dude. Anyway, and I'm glad for that experience because like when you come out of it, like you feel like, all right, well, this is the magic of cinema. Like I said with Gravity and Joyland. This is the kind of magic of cinema that people doesn't sort of tap into it anymore, you know. Like, and I think when it comes to that sort of high, the Indian audience are still way ahead of us because you know, like the people in India, like they watch films as if it's a celebration, you know. You saw the videos, right? They literally dance like some of to the extreme level. Sometimes they even like friggin' like ignite like fireworks and all that shit. Exactly, but like I think that's what's missing nowadays. Like people don't see cinema as this kind of magical room where your emotions are heightened anymore. You know.
First of all, definitely in the States there are fireworks going off in movie theaters, but it's not it's not celebration. It's just
not a celebration, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just sort of like honestly, a felony.
It's something horrifying, and you know what? To be honest, that's what's also one of my fear watching cinema in the States, like and hearing like pop, you know, like you know,
right.
But
you'll
get
the old the Dark Knight Rises killer.
Exactly. But like that's what I mean. Like I think every country deals with their experience in cinema like in different ways, but like sometimes you have that really powerful moment that moment become universal. I remember watching like films in Japanese cinema in Japan, like in Tokyo, and they all were very quiet and very sort of
Subdued.
Subdued, subdued, because like I don't think that's anything to do with their emotions. It's just how they kind of deal with that experience. I remember watching the James Bond where Judi Dench passed away. Like, what's the film? Like not Judi Dench, Skyfall, right?
Skyfall, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of the more solid sort of like James Bond. And people doesn't react to anything like over there. You know, like they just sit quiet and like very sort of like as if they're in the libraries. And like, you know, like
that's the Japanese way, right?
Yeah, that's the Japanese way. And here's another cool thing. They don't leave when the credit rolls. Like they just sit there and watch the whole credit rolls.
Yeah.
And I kind of like was so amazed because like that's like an appreciation for the crew who worked so hard for the film. And I kind of was like, well, that's the one part I can friggin' dig, you know.
They're probably just waiting for you know, Samuel L. Jackson to show up at the end of the thing and be like, "Do you want to be part of a team, James Bond?" Like they're waiting for that post credit sequence.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing we can definitely agree on. We love the Japanese. We love the contemporary Japanese. The World War II era Japanese, maybe not so good, but I love visiting Tokyo. That's for sure.
And we should do that sometimes, you know, in the future.
Go to Tokyo?
Yeah, go to Tokyo.
Take the podcast on the road.
Like experience the weird cinema over there. Like, you know, like there's so many. Japan is so rich with the whole cinematic culture. You know, like you go there. There are specific places that sells underground films and all that stuff. I'm not talking about snuff film, but like just this weird sort of they appreciate genre nicheness, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even you get that a lot with music as well. Like you get like exactly, somebody who's like you'll go to like a bar and it'll be like a bunch of people dressed like they're from the 50s and they'll be swing dancing and they'll all like, know exactly what the moves are. And then you'll go to like a metal bar and it'll all be like super obscure metal and like the whole place will just have like it will just be full of memorabilia and like merch from all over the place and you talk to somebody about it and they know everything. Like they're not like
that's crazy. That's
in Taiwan actually like you don't really find super fans like that, except maybe if we're talking like, I don't know, maybe manga or something. By the way, you know what's really funny is that when I Googled Blue Period, when we were talking about Picasso before, when you type in Blue Period, the first thing that you get is a fucking anime. So like, and it's like,
is it like the Deep Blue?
No. Not Perfect Blue. It's just like some
Perfect Blue. Sorry.
Deep Blue. Yeah, just some fucking shitty fucking anime. It's probably good. I don't know, but it's just like, you know,
Jeez,
it's funny.
Man. Talking about judgmental.
Yeah, exactly. Some fucking piece of shit. I never heard of it, but it probably sucks. But yeah. Anyhow, fuck. There was another thing. Yeah, like okay. So let's get back to Marathon Man for a second here.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Have you seen the poster for it? Like I was kind of going through my phone when we were talking about it before. The poster for it is fucking amazing.
It's just the one where Dustin Hoffman is running.
No. It's just like the original release poster. It's not so much that like it's an amazing piece of artwork, but
okay. The font play, right? Like the repetition of the fonts and stuff, right?
Yeah, and then like between Marathon and Man, there's Dustin Hoffman pointing a pistol at the camera, and then it just says and then it just says a thriller. Like,
a thriller, yeah.
Like I mean, that's like a fucking communist Russia like poster for a movie. You know what I mean? This is Thriller. Now, you go see Thriller.
Dude, I love this fucking poster already. Jeez, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's so fucking good. I mean,
they have like a slim version of it, like the one that goes like a rectangle, like 14 by 36 inch.
Yeah, like a tall ass poster.
Like a tall ass poster. Yeah. Now I want to have it. I do have some of these long poster format. I have one for Chinatown. Mm-hmm. And it's still somewhere in my parents' house just because I never get to frame it. And I also have, right now I'm looking at a reprint, obviously, but like you know, like this old film called The Crimson Ghost.
Yeah, the Misfits, their whole thing is
Yeah,
is
the
based on that.
Misfits. Yeah, the Misfits is based on the Crimson Ghost, and I actually really love the poster, so I actually got it too. I saw the Crimson Ghost, like I didn't particularly remember anything too much about it, but like it has like a very iconic sort of design about it, right? So yeah.
Okay, so back to Marathon Man.
Marathon Man, yeah.
So there's that, like, what I really like about that movie is that, like, you're right. Like, I think that I've been trying to kind of figure out the word to sort of describe the kind of movie it is. And I think that you're right. It's like a Cold War era thriller.
Dude, okay, like, if you're talking about, like, American cold spy thriller,
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this to you before, but, like, there is this one director that I really fucking love, and I think he is somewhat underrated.
Yeah.
Alan J. Pakula.
Alan J. Pakula?
Yeah, Alan J. Pakula. Yeah, exactly. And he did All the President's Men. He did
Right.
The Parallax View. Dude, like he Clute. Have you seen Clute?
No, I've seen Parallax. I just saw Parallax View recently, though. That was a really good one. That was with Warren Beatty.
How do you like it?
Oh, it's sick. It's awesome.
Get this, dude. Alan J. Pakula works. He's already working from the early 70s, but like he managed to be remain relevant to the point that he actually also did like the Pelican Brief.
Right, with Julia Roberts.
Yeah, with Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington. And that film I already sort of touch upon, like, you know, the whole internet sort of like thing. You know, like, so just imagine being a filmmaker who was from the 70s and still managing to be relatable in the 90s. That's a great thing for me. And one last thing, he did, believe it or not, he also did like Sophie's Choice.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he did Sophie's Choice. He did. So it's like,
you're right.
Yeah, because like that's the cool thing. Like he is such a master of the whole like spy thriller genre, but like in the middle of it all, like he did this film about, you know, like about like fucking. Anyway, it wasn't like a spy thriller movie at all. You know what I'm trying to say? So there's something great about that.
The first thing I thought of was John Frankenheimer and how he made like Seconds and shit and the Birdman of Alcatraz, and then like they brought him in to do the Dr. Moreau movie after Richard Stanley like went retarded in fucking Australia or like wherever he was filming, like the Gold Coast or whatever.
Gold Coast. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, like I remember seeing that documentary, the whatever it was called, like the dark. It's called like Dark Days or some shit. I forget what it's called, but like the documentary.
Lost Souls.
Right. Lost Souls,
One
and
of my
like
favorite.
yeah, it's one of the greatest sort of movies about a movie ever made.
About a movie, and I gotta say, man, I just quickly before I forgot, like you can talk about it more later because like I actually love that documentary. But at the time, I was like, man, Val Kilmer is such a fucking villain in this documentary, right? Because like he was, you know, at the time, obviously Kilmer was on top of his game, or still was on top of his game.
Yeah.
And I remember like just feeling so sorry for Richard Stanley because like he is a new director who's trying to sort of like, not a new director, like he did like Hardware at that point, you know, like, but like he was
Dust Devil
and Hardware, but like he was trying to juggle the whole brand new Hollywood system and all that stuff. And Val Kilmer is literally, it feels like
bullying
from the bullying him. And he's getting bullied to the point like he's cornered, and then he disappears into the woods and somewhere in Gold Coast, Queensland.
Yeah. Right.
And you know, like I have no problem with Richard Stanley, but then comes the allegation where I always made a joke somewhere in Twitter back then, like I always say like, you know what, one day Val Kilmer's going to open the door and it's going to be like the new shaman fucking Richard Stanley standing in front of him, you know.
Right.
And you know like. And you know, like after he made that film, like the Colors of what is it?
The Color Out of Space.
This Colors Out of Space. Like, there's some allegation coming out that he's actually abusive and all that stuff, right? So I was like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. There's some plot twist over here, you know.
Yeah.
So man. Anyway, unfortunately,
I mean, a guy like
that's
that
what happens.
I mean, I'm going to speculate a little bit. I mean, I never met the guy myself, but to all the people out there, let me tell you that once somebody like, you know, gets accused of fucking abuse or whatever, all of a sudden it's okay to like pile up on them and talk shit about them. But like as far as Richard Stanley is concerned, like I always thought it was weird how they made a point of this in Lost Souls, how like they made a point that he didn't drive, like he didn't ever drive a car, so he was like walking around. He would like walk like 3 hours, like just, you know, along the highway, like in Los Angeles, you know, like the one place in the world where you have to drive. And he would just try to like walk to a meeting. Like he'd walk from like wherever he was staying, like to his meeting, to his, you know, to the studio offices. Meetings. Right. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, like, and then also like, you know, he, during like the filming, like he would want everyone to come to his little house. Like he like you, like it's you know how that is, right? Like you always have that friend who like never wants to go out, but he wants you to come to his house. And the reason why he wants to go to his house so that like he can smoke weed and get drunk, and then when he gets too like faded, he doesn't have to figure it out. He doesn't have to leave.
Home. He can just stay there. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to bed. Bye. But
okay.
But so I just feel like I kind of, those kinds of things, like they tip me off to the kind of guy he is, and then all of a sudden that tips me off too to kind of maybe like, you know, this guy who, you know, kind of just views him. I mean, and then he surrounds himself with all this like mysticism shit, like all this like, oh, I'm going to cast a spell on you, and it's like, okay, dude, sure, like have fun, but like, you know, it's like I can just see a guy like that flipping out, and I can see a guy like that flipping out and beating his wife just because like he hates himself, you know. He's like I'm not a fucking pussy. I'm not a pussy. Fuck you. And he beats the hell out of his wife. Like, you know, whatever. Never met the guy. Not a huge fan of Color Out of Space myself. You know, I thought that you know, if you have to choose sort of your Nicolas Cage freak out movie, I mean, Mandy is obviously the choice to make.
Of course. Mandy is great. No doubt about that, you know. But like, yeah, I mean, look, we all heard that kind of story, and honestly, I think that's a worst nightmare when it comes to an emerging director. Like, I would still call myself an emerging director. Yeah, I have a lot of experience over here, but like, just because I do have a lot of experience over here in Indonesia doesn't mean like I'll definitely do a great job in the Hollywood system. You know what I'm saying? And the same goes to you, dude. Like,
are you kidding me? You're gonna do great, man. Like, I think that like, okay, let me tell you this. I forget who said this, but I think it was our good friend Brian Usna who said, doing a great independent film on your own terms is like putting having an amazing, like, fucking world-class dinner party at your house, and then doing a studio film is like managing a world-class restaurant. That's the difference.
Well, that's a good metaphor, I guess.
Yeah, because it's like
but I think that's filmmaking in general is always like that as well, dude. Like, I don't think that's just kind of specific to the Hollywood system. Here's the thing, like, I, as a director here, I do, you know, even after having like 15 plus years of career, geez, man, if I really think about it, I'm such a slow filmmaker. But like, one thing that I feel like is, even
how many films do you have? You have like, what, 7 films?
Yeah, somewhere there. Like, I don't stop. Like 7 feature. No, not less than that, dude.
Really?
Is it? Like 7, maybe, right? 7 feature. 7 feature, and then like a bunch of like shorts and all that stuff. But like, that doesn't count. But like, what I'm trying to say is, like, even if you get like sort of 90% of what you want to make, you have a complete freedom of at least 90% of what you want to make, right?
Yeah.
There's still, I do, like, the older I get, the more I realize that filmmaking is definitely not a one-person sort of show, because like, it's about kind of like unifying 200 other people so that they have the same thoughts as you. They have the same vision as you. Yeah. And that's I don't think Hollywood definitely makes that kind of thing harder or make it easier. It's just you being a director means you have to speak different type of languages without actually knowing foreign languages. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Like, it's just like
you'll hear like stories of like George Romero, you know, doing Night of the Living Dead and fucking Martin and all this shit, the crazies, Dawn of the Dead, and doing it as like wholly independent films, and then getting hired by I want to say fucking maybe like, I don't know, was it Morgan Creek or some shit to do the
Is
Dark
that
Half?
Oh, was it Morgan Creek? Dark
Maybe
Half?
not. Probably not. But or maybe New Line. I don't remember. But the point is that he said that was the worst like experience, the worst filmmaking experience of his life. In large part due to the conflicts that he had with Timothy Hutton, who apparently is a difficult guy to work with. But I mean, who knows if that's true? Like maybe.
Right.
Maybe it was just maybe he'd get along with someone else really well, you know, like some people talk about how, like, you know, Shia LaBeouf is like a difficult guy to get along with, but like, you know, I can see a guy like that. I know guys who I probably would get along with Shia LaBeouf really well, you know, and
Yeah.
And anyways, the point is that sorry.
No, I was just going to say, in the end, I don't think that's necessarily about the system. I think one of the greatest challenge being a director is just you have to know the kind of person, like you got to calibrate yourself to sort of communicate with specific type of person, and kind of like the idea of fucked up or messed up or unique people are not just specific to Hollywood. I think that's just generally in the industry. You meet some people of all kinds of insecurities or uniqueness or is that the right word? Flamboyancy.
Flamboyance.
You know, like flamboyance. You know, like
yeah.
By
the way, it wasn't New Line, it wasn't Morgan Creek, it was Orion. My bad. But sorry.
Orion. Well, Orion. What happened with Orion? Like, do you know? Like, just quickly, Orion was moving all up again, and I don't think now they still exist. But like,
no, they do. I've seen Orion pictures recently.
Okay. Because like I was pitching for an Orion picture film that I really loved the idea, but unfortunately that never really happened. So yeah, I didn't get the job, and I don't know who got the job at the end. In the end,
some no talent hack probably.
No, man. Like there's so many other people who's more talented. But like, yeah, what I was just saying, like I think by now, like the more you shoot films, regardless if it is a Hollywood thing or not, like you're bound to meet people of all types, you know what I'm trying to say? And I think being a good director means you can calibrate yourself to deal with the specific people, you know? Sure. I think the day where the director is the sheriff in town is already over. You know, like it's definitely you in a way being like a psychologist and kind of trying to communicate with a specific kind of crew or a specific kind of cast.
Marriage counselor.
Marriage counselor. Exactly, that's the right word. You know, and you being that person, having to talk with them every day and still be level-headed in the end. Because I do believe level-headedness will persevere in as in comparison to being super talented, but like not being grounded or level-headed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
yeah, it's the old like comic book guy from The Simpsons kind of situation, where it's like you have like comic book guy is like the smartest guy around, and like, you know, he knows everything, that he's a nerd, he knows everything there is to know about comics and everything, but like he also can't get laid, and he's overweight, and he doesn't actually know
exactly. There you go. I'm not even talking about the overweight part. I'm just talking about functioning in society. You know, like
that's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't know how to navigate reality. Whereas,
exactly.
But at the same time, in his mind, he's the smartest guy on earth, and he's got the best ideas. But like, he just can't seem to make that thing actually happen for him.
And you know, like that brings me to a point where when I watch The Sadness, you know, like that's the thing. Like I already knew you first before I watched The Sadness.
Yeah.
But like, if I was just thinking if I just watch The Sadness and not knowing the kind of guy that this motherfucker Rob Jabaz is, I would assume that, geez, man, this guy is like screwed up. Like he's a gloomy guy. Like especially if I just see the making of pictures.
I am a gloomy guy. I'm a goth.
Yeah. I mean, we both are pretty gloomy guys, but like
Yeah.
at the
We
same
both listen to
time,
Nine Inch Nails.
especially you with your other stuff, man, like with your death metal and all that growling things, which I have softly sort of like, like you see my collection of music nowadays. I'm trying to be more cheerful about things, but like what I'm trying to say is, if I don't know you and I see a film like The Sadness, then I would have thought like this is one dark guy who's probably at some point in his youth thinking about like bringing a gun to his school.
Yeah.
But after talking to you, you are like a pretty level-headed guy, and you are definitely very elaborate. You're definitely you're doing a great job at presenting yourself and your ideas, and I think that's that's crucial to being a filmmaker.
Yeah. Well, since we're jerking each other off, I've always thought that when I watch your films, I always thought this is a guy who's just fucking. It's just innate. Like this guy, it's very in your blood. Like when I see your films, I see stuff happening. Especially, The Night Comes for Us is the one that I'm like, this guy is doing something that I've never seen before. Like this is something that is actually entirely new. Like a kind of like a gore horror film, but it's a martial arts film. And it's one of those beautiful things where it's like you're slapping your head when you see it. You're like, of course, this is the next step. Like this is what a kung fu, quote unquote kung fu movie needs to be.
Thank you.
That's me sucking your fucking little pee-pee there.
Oh shit! Hold on. There's a call which I'm gonna decline. Okay.
We should probably wrap this up. We've been talking for an hour.
Yeah. But like, thank you for what you said. Like, and like again, like, dude, like, I mean, like, I wish it's that natural, but like I said, like every filmmaking is a struggle, and I'm the whole point is like to hide your desperation and your try hardness and make it all look like it's effortless towards the end, right? Like that's what filmmaking is about. It's a facade. But yeah, man, like this is a great fucking first inauguration episode, I would say. Like it's messy and it's all over the place, but like I'm enjoying doing this with you. And you said like, hey, this could be about like our experiences shooting film. Yeah, it could be about that, but like generally I feel like if we're gonna go on with this path, like I think one of the things like we would be consistent about is also our love for films all over. Like you and I, like we are both appreciator of cinemas of the world, like we do love like Takashi Miike, we do love like Takeshi Kitano, we do love I don't know, like are you into Andrei Tarkovsky? Like all that stuff, so we can talk more about that like as we go along, man.
And of course we're gonna have like the 2-hour Michael Haneke super episode where we just talk about like all the films of Michael Haneke.
We do need like a special episode for Michael Haneke. Like I think that's the guy earns it. Definitely, man. And this comes from somebody who doesn't even like funny games. But like I think. Look,
I like funny games, but I think it's his weakest film. But I definitely I was who was I talking to the other? I was talking with I was on some horror podcast, like just one of these like hey, what's up guys? Like it's the gory, bloody fucking whatever podcast, and I was trying to tell him like, and these are the guys who just do like, videos about Halloween and shit, like they're just talking about movies like today we're talking about The Thing, and it's like, okay, wow, what are you going to say about The Thing that hasn't already been said like 50 million times? But I was trying to tell him that like if you're like a horror guy and like, I mean, this guy was like, I think he was born in the late 70s, so he's kind of a Gen X kind of older guy, older than you, and older than me. And but the thing about him was just that he, I think that at that age, like you still want to watch like dark movies, but you're a little bit kind of, maybe you've already watched all the horror movies and nothing really good is coming out like these. There's nothing. It's very rare for something really good to come out these days. Like it's very rare for like your Hereditary or something to come out. One of these movies that changes the game. But so I'm saying like, if you're a horror fan, like look into fucking the films of Michael Haneke, right? It's like, because you kind of get that same thing, but it's not, you wouldn't classify it as a horror film. It's more of like, you know,
Then,
and
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
This is a good closure for this episode, like this podcast. But like I do agree with you. I like I said to you, I think at some point I told you, right, like one of my favorite film of this is like The White Ribbon, and the film is such an exercise of this weird existential horror dread that feels so specific, you know, like and I don't think anybody else can emulate that sort of feeling, especially Cachet, for example.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can talk forever about like Michael Haneke, man. Like I just like feel like we need to sort of start in a new episode and talk about him from the start, you know.
Yeah. There's one. I'm gonna talk just a little bit. There's a film that I think I'd recommend to you if you haven't seen it. It's made by a protege of Michael Haneke, and it's called Michael, and it's a Austrian film. And it's about not Michael John Travolta with angel wings, not that one.
No, not that one, right?
No, it's an Austrian film about a guy who kidnaps a little boy and keeps him in his basement for for sexual gratification. He's like a pedophile, like a violent pedophile. The right off the bat, it's kind of like I don't want to fucking watch this movie, right? But just this is the kind of thing that is the most interesting. It's like you're playing with like you're making a film, and essentially the content that you're playing with is like toxic radioactive waste. Like if you fucking drop this thing, you're gonna create a huge fucking mess. But the director, whose name I can't remember, all I know is that
Markus Schleinser. Markus Schleinser.
He manages to handle this fucking this really ugly concept, and he manages to sort of like create this really like elegant film.
How I can watch it in Tubi for free actually.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and I'm just like thinking, okay, like so maybe my mindset should be, hey, I want to watch a movie about like pedophilia and sexual abuse of a minor, but like I want to feel good about it, so I guess I'll check out Michael.
You're not going to feel good about it. It's not a good feeling movie, but it's good filmmaking, is what I'm saying.
It's good filmmaking. Is it delicate, so to speak?
I'd say that it's like delicate or just like
delicately handled. Yeah, like watching what's his name, Korean director, watching Kim Ki-duk's films, right?
Recommend me one of it, like the movie that I should watch. I'll watch that.
Okay, go watch. Okay, here's the thing. Kim Ki-duk was a director. I think he passed away. Like, he's one of my favorite director, and even now, like I still appreciate his films. But like he was involved in a sexual abuse case, unfortunately, like some of these directors, which is such a shame because like all his films has this specific sentimentality, even as brutal and as hard the subject could be. And out of his film, I recommend you watch. There's this film called Bad Guy, which you should watch.
All right, done. I'll watch Bad Guy.
Kim Ki-duk's Bad Guy, and I'll watch Michael. All right, like, and let's see how it goes, man. Let's review it for the next episode, right?
All right. Okay. Well, we got to stay on top of it. I'll in 2 weeks' time, I'm gonna come back at you.
We'll plan. Yeah, we'll plan. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna stop recording now.
Okay. Bye-bye.